Hello everybody, it's the start of another week, and that must mean it's time for another episode of Mondays Suck. If you don't know what this is, it's a weekly series we do here on the Phantom Show where we talk about movies, video games, television shows, just about anything out there that has a reputation for being really, really bad. But we do cover some things that have a very mixed response, and that's where we find ourselves today when we're talking about Star Trek Voyager, because this series does have a lot of fans, but it also has a lot of people that are like, what the heck were they thinking when they made this show? Now, I've watched this entire show about 2 times over, so I'm a very, very knowledgeable person when it comes to this particular iteration of the Star Trek franchise. And there are some episodes that I absolutely adore, and there are other episodes that I absolutely can't stand, which is par for the course for a Star Wars series. But the general consensus with Star Trek Voyager is that it's not as good as the 2 installments that preceded it, which would be The Next Generation and Deep Space Nine. And there's a number of different reasons for that. So Voyager just seemed to be really uneven a lot of the way through. From the character development of Captain Janeway, which seemed to be kind of all over the place for a little while there, and then you have cast replaced with 7 of 9 for more beauty, if you could say, for the male fans. And then you have in the early seasons they spend an entire, I think, like season and a half in Kazon space. Like, okay, how much territory do these Klingon knockoffs have? Like, the whole idea is that Voyager is going in a straight line heading home. So if they're in Kazon space for a year and a half, that means that these guys have a ton of territory, and they didn't exactly seem like a species that would have any more territory than like the Romulans of the Ferengi or any other Alpha Quadrant species. Now, I know we weren't in the Alpha Quadrant, but still, it's like all the Kazon stuff got really, really tiresome. In my opinion, it was in season 3 when the series started to find its stride a little bit. A few things happened, some more good episodes got into the mix. Future's End is a great 2-parter where the crew gets thrown back in time to Earth circa 1996. It was pretty entertaining back then. It's more fun to watch now that it's been 25 years since 1996, so I certainly recommend that one. That was also the episode where the Doctor got his mobile emitter, which allowed Robert Picardo, who was a huge highlight of the series for most of us, to be able to be in a lot more scenes and be a lot more engaged with the show. Third season also gave us episodes like Macrocosm, which is essentially a ripoff of Alien, but it was fun. Worst Case Scenario, which was a clever riff on writing for a show like Star Trek. And of course Scorpion, which was a very well-known 2-parter involving the Borg, which would ultimately introduce 7 of 9 on the other side of that in season 4. Season 4 and season 5 are really good. Season 6 and season 7, not so much. The show just kind of was spinning a little bit, and it's challenging with a show like Voyager because, again, Voyager's heading on a straight line towards Earth, which means they can't stay in one place for an extended period of time. And because of that, it's kind of hard to have recurring characters and storylines that build and all the kind of stuff you would hope to have from a quality TV series. And I think that Voyager was kneecapped a little bit by its own premise because they had to, by default almost, be somewhere differently each week, well, at least after you get past the 2nd season and all that Kazon crap. The finale. There's a lot of contentiousness about the finale, and if you haven't watched it, I'm going to spoil it. I mean, it's almost 20 years ago, so go find the episode and watch it. But anyway, Voyager makes it home. Everybody always knew that Voyager was going to make it home. But the episode ends with Voyager coming through a portal. I can't remember what it's called. Transwarp Conduit, that's it. Coming through a Transwarp Conduit and meeting up with other Starfleet ships and heading towards Earth. But they didn't show anything after the crew got to Earth, which I thought was a huge mistake. I would have loved to have seen that. Let's get some closure to these characters. Let's find out a little more about what happens when they finally make it home. I kind of feel like we as the audience deserve that, and we never got it, which sort of sucked. The finale was okay. It brought the Borg back. You had another time travel story with Captain Janeway from the future. It was not as good as the finales for Next Generation or Deep Space Nine, but for what it was, it really wasn't that bad. So again, with Voyager, it doesn't suck across the board. It's just a real mixed bag. So there are some great episodes. There are some not so great episodes. If you aren't familiar with the series, but you are familiar with the Next Generation era, what I would recommend if you're wanting to get involved with this show is to go to one of those websites where they rate the top episodes of the series and watch those ones. That'll give you the best take on what Voyager was when it was at its best, and you'll be able to skip all the other crap that nobody really wants to watch anymore anyway. So that's it for this episode of Monday Sucks. I do thank you for joining me, and I'll be back again as always next week.